Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. So today I am making a video about the difference between an aftershave and a fragrance. So this video has been inspired firstly by my younger brother Sam. He likes to have a habit of calling every type of fragrance, whatever it is, it's an aftershave. A few of my colleagues at work like to do the same thing. And I just thought it'd be good to post a video just to actually explain the difference between an aftershave and a fragrance. Yeah, is there a difference? What is the difference? Just so you actually understand what it means when it comes to you buying fragrances. And obviously, there is a key difference. The key difference, in short, if you want to skip the video, key difference is the amount of fragrance oil. So we'll start off with aftershave. So an aftershave, the sole purpose of an aftershave really is to basically soothe and disinfect your skin, rehydrate your skin in some instances after having a shave. Now, a fragrance's purpose is to smell nice. At its core, that is the difference. So I have both. I very rarely use an aftershave. There's two different types of aftershaves. So normally, there's possibly more, but there's two that I know of. So quite often, if you go and designer houses, so fragrance companies do make aftershave. So this is a Dior Sauvage one, for argument's sake. Now you'll notice on here, I don't know if your camera will pick this up, but it says that it's an aftershave lotion. It says it across here. Now typically these don't have atomizers like a fragrance would have. It's a splash bottle with a rubber sealed cap inside there. And then what you would do is you would just splash some of this out onto your hands, give it a little clap and slap it across. And the idea of that is once you've had a shave, it cleans and hydrates your skin. The other type for an aftershave would be a balm. So there's something like this. So this is just a Nivea one that I have. So this is an unscented one, that kind of milky white liquid. Again, same situation. You just put it into your hands, rub it into your face. That one's a bit more soothing though. And so in terms of the main differences, like you said, is the fragrance oil. So does this have any fragrance in it? Well, the answer to that is yes. So, but it's so negligible that it will last an hour at most. So typically what you'll find is some brands will show it as what they call an eau fresh, but aftershave. So the fragrance oils levels that are within those is between 1 and 3%. So if you think you've got a 100ml bottle, only 3 milliliters maximum of that is going to be fragrance oil or oils. The rest of it will be alcohol. And obviously alcohol dissipates that much more quickly, so it's not going to sit on your skin for any period of time. So it's not designed for any kind of longevity. When you're talking about fragrances, obviously that is the sole purpose. It is for it to smell nice, and then you start getting into the different levels of concentration. Now I put a little chart up in the corner so you can see these. So it does have the Eau Fresh on there, but it goes through the other types of concentrations. So typically you've got a cologne, which is normally the lowest level. So above aftershave for the lowest, and that's between 2 and 4% fragrance oils. After that, you don't see too many of those. After that, you go into EDTs, so eau de toilettes. They are between 5 and 15%. So this is very much down to the brand. So it can be as low as 5, as high as 15, and anywhere in between. Eau de parfum will come after that, which is 15 to 20%. Then you've got parfum, which is 20 to 30%, and then in some cases you have an extrait de parfum, which is normally 30 to 40%. So these are obviously stepping up the levels of fragrance oil. So the more fragrance oil you have in the fragrance, this is not always the case, but in theory, the longer the fragrance should last, because the oil will sit on your skin. It's that much more dense, so it stays within your skin, and therefore the fragrance will radiate from that point. Now fragrances vary from brand to brand. So for argument's sake, Dior Sauvage is a perfect example. So I showed you the aftershave lotion there. The eau de toilette version of Sauvage is ridiculously powerful and ridiculously long lasting. Now they say it's between obviously 5 and 15%, but that one will last 8 hours plus easily all day. It's it's a crazy freak of nature. So you can't take it as a blanket rule as such, because there are differences with certain fragrances are different, but essentially that is the core difference, is the amount of fragrance oil between the two. So I could go into different fragrances and different levels, and we could go on talking about it for hours, but at its core, that is what the difference is. So take away from this video, an aftershave is not a fragrance. It is designed to soothe and clean your skin after having a shave. It has a very small percentage of fragrance oils, and that will last you 30 minutes to an hour at best. And then the fragrances, obviously you've got different levels. Eau de toilette, eau de parfum, etc. The higher you go, in theory, the longer the fragrance lasts. What you will quite often find is the denser the oil is, the closer it will sit to your skin. It doesn't project quite as hard normally. Reasoning for that is it is that much more density. Alcohol evaporates quicker, and fragrances work with heat. So as your skin gets warm, it starts to evaporate. The alcohol evaporates the molecules, and that starts to press off of your skin, which is where you obviously get the scents. And then the top, mid, and base notes. Top notes are typically lighter molecules, so they will evaporate and expand quicker. And then as you drop into your slightly deeper ones for your mids, and then even deeper still for your base notes. And obviously on a parfum, it will last that bit longer. One other point just to note on those is don't assume that if you buy the same fragrance but you buy it in the same concentration, or sorry, the same brand but different concentrations, it will smell the same. It won't. You will find that fragrance houses will change the notes from their EDTs to the EDPs to the parfums, and in some cases they completely smell different. Perfect example of that is the Acqua di Gio line by Armani. So I have the eau de toilette, I also have the parfum. They do not smell alike. The EDT is a very, very fresh, aquatic citrus scent. The parfum is very mineralic, very heavy, much denser. They smell completely different, so don't fall into that trap. Always make sure you check some reviews, check the notes to see, because in some cases they will put different notes in and they will smell different. So that's all I really have to say. So just they are different. Any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Thank you.